Now we're given a circle of radius 10 centimeters and a central angle of 30 degrees, and that looks like this. And we're asked what's the arc distance that corresponds to this central angle. And people had a lot of trouble with this because people are just not familiar enough with the properties of circles. So that's something you really should review. Didn't know how to find a circumference or an area, gave the equation for area rather than circumference, and vice versa. Those equations are confusing if you rely on memory and recognition, but the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. That can't be the formula for circumference. Why not? Because r squared won't have dimensions of length, whereas circumference has dimensions of length. You could straighten out that circumference, that circle here. You could straighten it out and it would have some length. It wouldn't have an area, for example. The circle has an area, but the circumference, the perimeter, if you wish, the distance around the circle is just a distance. If it was pi r squared, let's say r is in centimeters, then r squared would be in centimeters squared. So if you use that to find distance, you would find a distance in centimeters squared, and that makes no sense at all. Okay, distance is not measured in centimeters squared, it's measured in centimeters. So that's one way of recognizing that you've got a wrong formula. The units don't match what you're supposedly finding. Now, 2 pi r is perfectly good for the circumference. We talked about the definition of pi. Nobody knows the definition of pi. And it's the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. From that definition, you see that if you multiply the diameter by the if you multiply the diameter by pi, you get the circumference. So if you multiply 2 times r, which is the diameter, times pi, you get the circumference. That tells you that the circumference of this 10 centimeter circle is 20 pi centimeters. Okay, well, circumference is 20 pi centimeters, and we've got a 30-degree segment of the circle here. Okay, a 30-degree central angle. How are we going to find out that distance? Well, we know that 30 degrees is 1/12 of 360 degrees. If we don't know that, we should do more calculations without our calculators, because that's something that you would certainly have figured out a number of times. But if you did it by punching buttons on a calculator, it wouldn't have made any impression. Okay, anyhow, 30 degrees goes into 360 degrees 12 times, so this is 1/12 of the circle. Okay, so down here I say 30 degrees is 30 degrees over 360 degrees, or 1/12 of the entire circle. So the arc distance is 30 degrees over 360 degrees, which is 1/12, times 20 pi centimeters, or 20 pi over 12 centimeters, and that reduces to 5 pi over 3 centimeters, and that's about 5.3 centimeters. Now you notice I kept pi in here. I didn't want to keep writing out 3.14 and multiples of 3.14, so just for that reason, for expedience, it's much easier to keep writing pi until you get down to the end here, and then at the end you can plug in the value of pi and evaluate it, and you will come out with something close to 5.3 centimeters. We keep things in multiples of pi until we have a good reason not to, until we have a good reason to approximate. In any case, you need to be sure you really understand area and circumference of a circle, and other properties of circles as well, the geometry of the circle. Those things become very important, and if we have to spend a lot of time in class explaining these things, we don't get to spend time on things that you're trying to learn in physics. We're not trying to learn this. This is something we're supposed to know. And we end up spending a lot of time on this, which makes it more difficult to give our attention to the physics. Anyhow, that's the way it is. So take that, but do review the properties of the circle, look up circles, write yourself some notes, do something so you understand circles. So the next time they come up, we won't have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak.